Hello YouTube, I am your host, the Crimson Warrior, and today I'm super excited to talk with you guys about the World Championship tournaments that are coming up at Locals this next week. It is super exciting to play with this new, weird format for a week, and I think it's a really cool chance for players to adjust and show their knowledge in the game, and I think the best way to show you guys this is to just go right on into my my deck profile I'm planning to use for Worlds, so let's get right on into it. Alright, starting with the obvious, we're going to go into our 1 Gazelle. Under Worlds ban list, this is still under 1 because the OCG has it at 1, but the luxury we get is because they're using the old TCG ban list prior to Rusty Bardiche getting hit, we still have Circle at 3 because nowhere else is it hit, so this deck is almost at full power for Worlds. Triple Spinny, still necessary, still the best combo starter. I'm not running Lady Debug anymore, so I need as many starters as possible. Triple Foxy, this is the second best card to see other than Gazelle, and this in Spinny is just full combo for free practically. 1 Buffalo, I only play 1 because I want to see the draws, but it's not really worth running multiple copies because he doesn't do anything in multiples by himself. Next up, Double Reclusia. I'm playing this because him and Spinny is full combo, which is really good in one way, but without Spinny he can be a huge brick sometimes, and I want to replace it at least 1 with Secretary and leave 1 in for attack. I really like the card, I just think backup Secretary is better for when we're forced to go into Stalio first. Now we play our triple 4-star lineup, 1 Jack-Jag, 1 Fowl, 1 Falco. This is obvious. You can bump up Jack-Jaguar to 2 if you'd like. I'm min-maxing as much as possible, but Striker is a heavy ticket item going into Worlds, so I think bumping this up to 2 to fight the DD Crows, the Shark Cannons, the Call by the Graves, just to leave you with something to play with still. Under Worlds, now Ash Blossom is at 2, which is fine. I mean, we lose 1 Ash, that's just bumped up into other hand traps. I am playing Triple Phantasme. Going into Worlds, Striker is the best deck, and Salamangreat is the other projected best deck, with, I think, Pendulums being a pretty good rogue contender, so to be real, I think Phantasme going into this event is just as good as it was last format. I know a lot of players are opting to drop it, but for this one-of special format where Striker and Salamangreat are basically top tier, and there is no Danger Thunder Dragon. Colossus is at 1. Dangers don't exist. Worlds is not going to see a single Danger Thunder Dragon player. And if it is, it's going to be like a table 500 kind of thing, and you'll be able to run through it pretty easily. Next up, Triple Ghost Ogre. I think this is a hot tech going into Worlds because Pendulum, you can kill the Electromite, the Scales, it's easy to pop their stuff. You can also, against Striker, it hits the multi-roll and the field spell, so you can stop them from gaining continuous advantage. On top of that, it's a spicy target for E-Telly. Now, I put E-Telly in my deck before Simo did, but Simo's more popular than me, so shoutouts to him for the idea. I guess it's been something I've done before in the past. Knowledge is what's important. Next up, Triple Mining. This is necessary going into the tournament, especially if you're opting out of Debug like I am. The thing with Debug is I really think Ghost Ogre is going to be a hot tech going into the tournament, so I really don't want my turn to be ended on a single Lady Debug, Search Gazelle, Ghost Ogre, my turn's over. It's not worth it. I'd play the Flame Buffalo build, honestly. I don't think Lady Debug's good for this tournament, and I honestly don't even think it's good for the deck going forward. We don't want to waste our normal summon on a level 4 monster that does nothing for us in the end. Sure, it's a normal summon, Search, but it's not level 3, doesn't get us into Stalio, doesn't turbo to our end board, so I don't really consider her that helpful anymore. Triple Circle. Since we're using the old TCG ban list prior to Rusty hit, and Salamangreat getting neutered, we get to play our best searcher at 3 again. Dodging, draw and lock bird, which could also potentially be a really good tech. If you want to stop Striker from getting advantage, draw and lock bird. You want to stop Pendulum from gaining advantage, draw and lock bird. It's gonna be there, and this allowing us to dodge it and probably pop off both of these in a turn is just huge. Triple Call by the Grave. Even though Ash is going to be at 2 in this tournament, I think Effect Veiler might be a hot tech, and Imperm, because of the amount of skilled players running around, are going to be things. Now, you can't stop Imperm with this, but this is for EV, this is for Ashes, and this is for Ogres. You need your Mirage Stalio to go through now more than ever. I wish I could play 40 cards, but since Circle's at 3, and that gives us our consistency back, I pushed the deck back up to 41 like I had prior to the ban list, simply because our consistency is there again. With Circle at 3, you're going to be seeing copies of what you need, so playing the extra card's not that harmful, and my extra card is a tech I think will be really good against the format. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Super Poly's at 2 for this tournament. I checked both the OCG current list and the TCG old list, and Super Poly was at 2 on the old list, if I remember correctly, and it was 2 on the OCG's list. If I'm wrong about this, please let me know. I can drop the card entirely just to bring it back to 40, but I really think maining Super Poly, especially as a Salad player going into this, is a smart idea, because you are going to be facing Salad. You're going to be facing Striker. We can take their boards. Now, against Striker, this isn't nearly as good, but you can side it out for other things that are better. Next up are one of spells. I play one Sanctuary, self-explanatory. Will's a rank 3 extender that continues to just get advantage. I've thought about dropping it several times, but every time I drop it, it just doesn't feel right. And so many games that if it stays up more than one turn, the card starts to pay for itself tenfold. It makes extending grossly easy. If you're playing Monster Reborn in this deck, drop it. Drop it for this. This is searchable more than once per turn. Just so much better. Don't play Monster Reborn. Like, sure, you can take your opponent's stuff, but if you're doing that, you're in a losing position. You lost the game anyway if you're trying to take your opponent's things. Next up, E-Telly. This is for Ghost Ogre. That's really important because we just need more rank 3 extenders. I'm opting to run this. I'm having a mail order come in that I express ordered to come in before Worlds because I need backup secretaries, and my friends weren't able to find any, and sadly my locals didn't have any copies either, so I need backup secretaries. But I'm still gonna run this because I want to bait my opponent's Ash Blossoms. I know everyone's only gonna have 2 going into this event, and if I can bait the Ash with any card before I go into my Mirage Stalio play, I'm alright. You have to be able to let your Mirage Stalio to the resolve. It's the most important part. Like, if they Ash this and you have the Call by the Grave in hand and you still have a way to make Stalio, just make the Stalio and protect it. Castle that. It's necessary. Now for the best hand trap in the game right now, we have triple Imperm, can't be called by the Grave. It's an Effect Veiler, and once it's set, it's super powerful. No explanation needed there. 39th card is 1 copy of Roar, and my 40 and 41 are 2 Rage. I'm choosing Rage going into this event because I think back row is going to be super important, Pendulum's going to be important, the mirror match is going to be important, and Striker is going to be important. I need to clear back row, and lots of it. With Heatleo on field and this card in the right situations, I can clear 4 to 5 back row easy as long as I'm set up. So pushing through boards to get game is essential in this tournament, and that's why I'm upping this to 2, just to start answering my opponents. Now, getting into the extra deck. The extra deck is pretty plain and simple. Excuse my dirty sleeves, I need to change them, it's been a minute. Triple Balinix, obvious. Triple Sunlight Wolf, obvious. Double Mirage Stalio. I wouldn't just play one anymore. the deck runs off of this card, and if your first one gets hurt and you can't Jack Jaguar to recycle it for some reason because of Call by the Grave, because of DD Crow, because of Shark Cannon, anything really, you need a backup copy. This extra deck is now a minimum of 3, 6, 8 cards. You need these 8 cards. That is mandatory for Salamangreat. Now getting into semi-optional stuff, you don't have to play the Heat Leo. I highly recommend playing the Heat Leo just because it's back row removal. He's in Archetype, and he's our OTK enabler. I don't use the OTK a whole lot. I think it's because I'm just misplaying, to be real with you guys. So I really would not drop this card. I think it's really important. Now, a really important thing to remember for all of you players is Rising Rampage is not legal at Worlds. It's not released worldwide yet. So all of you with Apollosa can't use it. Anyone using any support out of Rising Rampage, drop it. So instead of Apollosa, I've opted for an OTK button and a large beat stick that's hard to get over. This is the problem with the deck. Now, if you don't have money or you have Borreload, you can replace either one of these with Borreload. I really recommend running Avramax in the deck simply because he allows you to get over everything your opponent can make for 3k. And this deck's problem is big monsters that are hard to get over. He solves this. On top of him solving this, so many times going into my negative game states where people banish the Jack Jaguar and I'm no longer able to recycle my resources, I've gotten game just by finally somehow getting into this and just sitting on it for the rest of the game, poking. Can't be targeted. Your opponent needs 2 huge beaters to get over it, and by then their life points are going to be so low they might not be able to take the 3k with one of the beaters. I would run Avramax. I'm playing one of Abyss Dweller. This is important to shut down the Mirror Match and Sky Striker. Now, to be real with you, it's a lot harder to make these days. I can't run the double foul because rank 4 isn't important at all anymore. Like, if we don't get to rank 3, it doesn't matter if you go into rank 4 as you're in such a negative game state. It doesn't matter. We need to go full combo after that list. The deck still does what it does. It just needs a second to get there, basically. And next up, my double super poly targets. This is self-explanatory. 2 darks. I'm expecting Endymion Pendulum to be there. Striker, I can steal their link monsters and start doing things, I can use Violite Chimera to steal their link monsters, and I can constantly recycle it. So as long as I'm playing smart against the Striker player, I can start out-advantaging them. Now, getting into the side. The side's important this tournament because you're not going up against Thunder Dragon players, and you're not going up against, Orcust. I don't think Orcust is gonna be there. Why? Because Mermaid is banned, and without Mermaid, the deck barely does what it does. I'm sure there's some people who would dispute me on that. If so, prove me wrong by coming to my locals with Orcust and screwing me over, because I'm not heavily sided for you. I'm sided for Striker, and I'm sided for the Mirror Match, and Pankratops is broken in both. Another note with Pankratops is he's actually semi-limited going into this tournament, so don't run 3 copies in your extra. Double Twin, this is for popping back row. I still respect Mystic Mine going into this event. I know at least 1 Mine player going in, and I don't want to deal with it. This is also why Roar is doubled. This is also why I run Reclusia. It's important to pop back row. It just is super important. Double Lancia, this is in case Banishing shows up a lot, or someone sides evenly against me or something like that, or even stopping Call by the Graves. It has many applications in today's format, and I'm expecting DD Crow and Call by the Graves to be super important going into this. So even though Orcust isn't going to be a huge matchup going forward, I think keeping this at 2 so that you can defend some of your plays every once in a while will be important in some of the key matchups. Triple Draw and Lockbird. This is for Pendulum and for Striker. This isn't going to do much against your Salamangreat matchup because they have Triple Circle, which they're going to activate in the draw phase, and then sure, you can do this after the Signet goes off, but it's not worth it in the mirror match. Side in DD Crows instead. But this ends Pendulum turn. This makes Striker end on a much weaker board because they're not able to cycle through their deck like madmen with engages and everything. Next up, Triple DD Crow. This is important for the mirror match. This is important for Striker and any rogue deck that I notice targeting in their graveyard or using their graveyard excessively. I think DD Crow is going to be hot going into this event. I would seriously recommend siding it. And now, breaking boards. I will be going up against myself and Striker. I need a way to bait, and I need a way to negate. These two in tandem, if I use Pankratops and evenly match in tandem, special Pankratops, go into battle phase, swing over something, tribute him off, pop something, and then tell your opponent to get screwed, basically. It's a broken combo that puts your opponent into super negative, and as long as it facilitates you going into full combo, they shouldn't be coming back from that game state whatsoever. Alright guys, that's the deck profile. I didn't go into any combos this time because this is focusing on Worlds, and honestly, if you don't know your combos going into Worlds, I don't know what you've been doing this whole time. Now, that being said, to prepare for Worlds, see if your locals is going by the Worlds list or not. Mine is. Super Poly's at 2, I believe. Gazelle's at 1. Other Circle's at 3. That's all important for Salamangreat. If you're a Striker player, Widow Anchor's at 2, Engage's at 2, and Multi-Roll is at 3 this tournament, which there's a lot of back and forth in the community on whether that, on whether that neuters the deck or not. I think the advantage engine that is multi-roll and your field spell totally negates having only 2 Widow Anchors and 2 engages, especially if the players are being smart. Going into this, we know Salad and Striker are going to be strong. I think anyone playing Striker should also be putting in the Shark Cannons to ruin my day. I shouldn't say this because it helps you guys out, but I honestly don't really care. I want the best player to win at the end of the day, and if it's not me, whatever. Other than that, if you're a rogue player, a lot of Pendulum cards are hit going into this. Dark Worms at 1, Chronograph Sorcerers at 1. I think Pendulum, Pendulum Magician, I think she's at 1 as well because she's on the OCG's list. So there's a lot of hits on Pendulum going into this. So when I say I think Pendulum's going to do well, I mean Pure Endymion. Any player who's smart enough to figure out how to make a Pure Endymion deck work really well going into this, I think has a really good chance. Now that being said, the skilled Pendulum players are far and few in between. I only know like 2 at my locals, and they play an amalgamation that is definitely banned in the OCG, so I'm wondering if they're even going to be willing to adjust to this Worlds list. I know a lot of players who aren't even coming because their Orcus decks aren't going to work without Mermaid, and I totally respect that. This is a Salamangreat and a Striker event. If you main one of these decks, walk in. You'll have a great time learning your matchups, fighting your opponents, getting a chance to win an expensive mat, and at my locals, I think the deck box is given out randomly, which is Cancer. It should go to whoever was second, but it is what it is. So that is the deck profile, guys, and the discussion of Worlds. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Comment down below. Tell me how you're prepping for Worlds. Are you excited to go, or are you skipping out because Orcus not being good, or your deck just not having what it needs to play? If you enjoy my content, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell if you'd like to see every time I upload, because it ain't stopping now. Peace, guys. And man, this new ink is awesome.